My boss lets us WFH 2 days a week and I just got a company-wide email today on how we can go more green for Earth Day for a competition. Full-time WFH, here we go. The winning team gets $1,000. Up to 10 teams. My annual review is coming up. WFH is going to be on my list to discuss. It's simple. Big companies are lobbying him to speak publicly about the importance of going into the office to protect their assets. In this instance, their assets are buildings that they currently own, lease, that are wasting money. One could make the argument that a company could save money and go green by embracing the nature of work from home that a lot of us have experienced in the past 2 years. However, a lot of large companies are afraid of this idea and want things back the way they were. I don't know about you, but WFH only works with people who give a shit. Everyone else is gonna dog it or moonlight for 2 paychecks. He certainly can, but he doesn't have the power, I believe, to demand it. It's in the hands of the individual companies. Oh please God no, then WFH will become the next partisan shitshow. Crude oil has a lot of uses, not just gasoline. COVID reduced the need of gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and other petrochemicals used for manufacturing products. Right now there's a shorter supply, but our needs are growing now that COVID cases are calming down again. There hasn't been a significant increase in demand for gas recently. Show me the large, sudden increase in demand or reduction of supply in the past month. He could do that, but even if he did, it wouldn't matter unless the rest of the world followed suit. The current supply issue is with Russia, right? The US imported about 8% of its oil from Russia last year, so we would need to make up for that 8% shortfall in order to keep prices lower, right? Unfortunately, since oil prices are controlled by traders on the global exchange, the US pays pretty much what everyone else pays. US consumers pay even less at the pump than other countries because of subsidies. Since Europe gets a much higher percentage of its oil from Russia, global prices go up, US included, even though most of our oil is homegrown or comes from countries we're not currently sanctioning. We would need to take a multi-pronged approach, for instance. Everyone works from home. Globally, won't happen. OPEC starts producing more. They've already said no. Improve relations with Iran, possible. End the Russian incursion into Ukraine and stop the new sanctions. We'll see what happens. Maybe we take over a country like Venezuela and start exporting their oil, more likely than the first 2 options. If you really want to make a difference on your bottom line, you can buy an electric car. Make sure your electricity isn't coming from fossil fuels. Eliminate unnecessary trips. Reduce your use of plastic bags, etc. It's not a lot, but you will notice. Another option is to produce more oil in the US, right? Because office space is super expensive real estate to just let sit idle. Also, middle management is sweating bullets because without people in those buildings it's hard to justify their roles. If a large portion of companies stopped needing offices, their real estate values would plummet. I have seen this said frequently, but I don't agree with this logic. Company ABC rents a few floors of an office building downtown. Their employees work in the office sucking up resources like electricity, water, paper, coffee, etc. These resources all cost money. Company XYZ rents a few floors of an office building downtown. Their employees work from home, sucking up their own electricity, water, coffee, etc. I'm excluding paper because they probably expense it. Letting the office space sit idle is a benefit to the company. Upper management doesn't care about middle management, so that point isn't a factor. The real estate values for the companies that own the property would plummet, but that isn't of concern to most companies using office space in a downtown setting. Most of them rent it. If the value plummets, it's a long-term gain for them when they either A, extend their lease at a cheaper rate, or B, decide to forego the office space in the future. I'm not sure about in America, I know here in Alberta the work from home orders just ended last week after the last 2 years. Hasn't done much to curb the gas prices. Once he does, half the country is going to start driving to work just to spite him. No exaggeration, they really are that petty. It has to be their idea. Putting their foot down with the boss, etc., etc. If the government suggests something, no matter how logical, conservatives will instantly go to, "You don't tell me what to do." I'm pretty sure most Republicans would start driving twice as much just to piss him off. You've seen what happened when they try to make people work from home because of office. US is just a hard place to govern in general. A large chunks of their citizens are like kids that have, "Now that you tell me to do it, I won't" mentality. There's no problem in gas demand. The gas companies are taking advantage of the American people and raising prices just for profit. The United States buys less than 10% of its oil from Russia. There is no shortage, just corporate greed. This is pretty wrong. One day people will realize that the president isn't a king and can make suggestions, and that's about it. That is all I was advocating for. Just a suggestion to make companies feel some pressure to consider it. Gas prices don't follow supply and demand. Gas prices are set by companies to be as high as they can get away with. That is why prices spike when news of a potential shortage breaks, instead of when the actual shortage starts. Often days, weeks, or even months later. Gas was low because the government was subsidizing the oil industry. They were paying oil barons to keep the prices low, but the oil industry was still making record profits. Biden stopped the subsidies and those fuckers raised the price of gas, so that they could make the same amount of money. Because his party's donors own lots of office space and don't want to see rents crash. Capitalist governments sure do love to promote healthy competition between businesses until it's their donors' businesses. Then, supply and demand, logic goes out the window and they force the population to demand their donors' businesses. All the offices where I work we found out are owned by Tory donors, UK. WFH has a bad tendency to wipe out a large amount of industries that rely on office workers. Commercial office real estate, retail, restaurants catering to office workers, bars, all suffer when WFH keeps millions of Americans away from them, not spending their money. Yes, it does cost certain people more money in gas, but there's also a sizable number of people who use public transportation and the gas prices are largely not going to impact them. It's trading one aspect of the economy for another. How much would we save on gas versus how many more businesses will go bankrupt without customers? The adoption of the internal combustion motor killed the demand for horses and wagons, but we didn't boo-hoo those losses. Civilization marches forward, and as a result, we are forced to adapt. Because markets do this stuff without the president getting involved. But the president was actively encouraging people to get back to the office. Or he could just allow us to produce more domestically versus going to bed with less desirable countries like Iran and Venezuela. No, we don't want to harm the environment. We want Iran and Venezuela to harm the environment, an asterisk, then we will buy it from them. It's somehow different. Because the president has no authority to tell a private business what to do. Because consumption climbs exponentially until it's gone. Greed and/or stimulate economy. My work has decided not to bring employees back until at least May 2 due to gas prices. When we do come back, 90% of people will either be working from home 100% or hybrid. Because commercial real estate owners are more influential on him than office workers.